So I call this meeting of Borough Council on Monday, February 3rd, 2025 to order. We will begin with our moment of silence. As we know, February is Black History Month, and we all know and respect the impact of Black Americans, leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, who have helped pave the way for civil rights in our country. But for the reflection this month, I couldn't help but think about the Black leaders in our own region who have shaped and continue to shape and make history, such as the Freedom House Ambulance Services, who were the first emergency medical services staffed by paramedics with medical training beyond basic first aid. Freedom House was started in the Hill District in 1967, and their training and their design system set the standard for emergency care throughout the United States and the world, just as it's carried out today by our amazing MRTSA team. For August Wilson, the famed American playwright used to cut class at Central Catholic due to being bullied and would go nearby to the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh to study and to really learn, and whose award-winning plays are now available at libraries throughout the country, including our own here in Green Tree. So tonight, I ask everyone in our moment of reflection to think about the impact their favorite Black leader has had on their lives in honor of Black History Month, whether that's someone from history or someone who is leading us today, or as well as any personal intentions we carry with us tonight. We can see it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we give a roll call?
Ms. Demi,
Here.
Ms. Houts,
Here.
Mr. Panza,
Here.
Mr. Ray,
Here.
Ms. Schwartz,
Here.
Mr. Tentori,
Present.
Ms. Barron,
Here.
Mayor Schenk.
So next I would ask we have an approval of the minutes for January 6th, 2025. Second.
Wait, you need a
I
motion.
need a motion.
I'll second.
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstains? Thank you. January 13th, 2025 minutes also need approved. Can we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all approved?
Aye.
All, I'm sorry, those who do not approve? And any abstentions? Okay, that passes. Thank you. So now move on to the hearing of citizens. All persons who wish to address general business or agenda items will be heard at this time. Please make your way to the podium and please give us your name and your address. Yeah, we'll move on to our new business tonight. I will say that I'll explain a little bit about this in my president's report, but we have made an adjustment to the agenda and we will be giving the chair report and then moving on to voting for each section. So we have our new business tonight. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I do have a comment on the agenda. Our charter had the agenda written in the charter. And the charter, and this is a little bit self-serving, had the mayor early on. But about 2 years ago, it was that way for 18 years when I was on council and, as a mayor. The mayor was early on in the agenda. About 2 years ago, it was changed and there was actually a resolution passed. The mayor was going to be last. I argued about that and there was a compromise made and a resolution was passed. And I have a copy of that resolution I can hand out. And the resolution indicated, it was on July 11th, 2022, after the hearing of residents, there's new business, that's new laws and stuff. Then the mayor talked, then the reports the committee. So if we're gonna change the agenda, I think we need to do it by resolution. Since the charter was there, then we did a resolution 2 years ago. And if we do it by resolution, I request that the mayor's report be bumped up some on the process if we're gonna change it. So those are my
Mayor,
comments.
I'm sorry, I was given permission to change it this way, so, which is why I did, but I'm happy to pass a resolution.
Can't do it tonight.
Yeah.
Can't do it tonight.
No, we can have that on next month's.
We can look at
What
one.
should we do tonight? Go back?
We'll
Or
deal
how
with
is it
it.
stated?
We'll deal with the agenda as posted for tonight, then we can have a permanent change if a resolution passes.
Okay. All right, so
My preference is to not have any changes to the structure of the agenda since it's already been posted for tonight. Like I said, I mean, just to ensure we're in compliance with the charter moving forward, we can have that resolution, but for tonight, it's best to just go off of this.
Okay. So, we'll start with our, newest committee, which is Community Engagement and Communication with Ms. Debbie.
Hi, we had our annual meeting recently. We're all very excited to have an opportunity to look at the communications that are going out in Green Tree and how we communicate with our citizens and receive information. We are really starting at the beginning, as we found out in that meeting, just a fact-finding mission at this point, trying to understand what data we have, the usage of our existing channels of communication. We are up to approximately 700 app downloads, which is great because that is right now through GoGov, how we are sending out a lot of important information. But we're still really trying to understand how that's being used and how we can utilize that more effectively. Email sign up, social media engagement. Once we have all of that, we will work to decide our strategy moving forward and determine how to best build out communications using our existing methods and looking at new methods as well to make sure that everyone's getting the information they need. And we'll also be working on ways to get feedback from the community in a more effective manner.
I just have a question about that. In the meeting, we were told there were 100 downloads. Is that?
We got, yes, I'm sorry, that came through today. I didn't have a chance to share that out. There are 543 Apple downloads, 161 Android downloads, and 140 unique citizen accounts registered, which would be people who put in all of their information on the app or website to get emails, things like that.
So 140 emails go out for it.
That's people who have registered with us. If you have the app, you can get notifications without full registration.
And that does exclude those that have just signed up for emails.
Do we know,
They're working to that.
is it only residents that can sign up for the, I guess anybody can download the app?
They can-
Do we know how many residents signed up? Be able to find that out.
they did not put it- If they did not put their, so the 140, you would be able to tell if they're residents, but the rest of them you would not be able to tell.
Yeah, because that would be a level of privacy.
Like I said, they're working on trying to get us the number of email only subscribers.
And that's the GoGov, that's the GoGov platform.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, move on to Finance and Borough Administration. Mr. Tintori with your chair report.
Thank you very much. The Finance Committee met on January 20th to review the recommended wage rates. And we recommended that the salary increases as proposed, as we reviewed them, we recommended in favor of those increases. The next thing I need to do then is make a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager paying the January 2025 invoices from the general fund totaling $67,952.30. Payroll account totaling $120,923.71. Educational Service Agency fund totaling $2,967.31. And credit card totaling $4,325.22.
All in favor, or I'm sorry,
I'll second.
thank you. I was worried about Mr. Tintori's voice. Do you want someone else to read
I'm
that
fine.
next time? Okay.
Oh, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that passes. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve payment of the February 2025 invoices from the general fund totaling $135,462.48. Storm sewer fund totaling $1,141.75. Sanitary sewer funding totaling $454,122.22. Capital projects fund totaling $8,666.97. Bond fund totaling $90,840.45. And fire department apparatus fund total $30,967.88.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I oppose the bond fund, primarily because, there's a payment to aquatic facility design for $87,789 of the architect for the pool. In our last meeting, they admitted that there was a discrepancy in some of the data they provided us, which led to conflict and differences of opinion on the pool design and size. I'm also wondering how much we agreed to pay in the original contract to them. Do you recall?
I don't have the specifics here, so I wouldn't say as a matter of record.
Well, I think we've made multiple payments to them. Okay,
And they're towards the end of the development of the specifications. Last meeting was the last step. So that would have been a lion's share of the contract.
and I saw in the meeting, we had last time with them, we talked about making design changes. One guy went to this, the other guy. And we started talking about design changes, and it's obvious why they went like that, because in the memo that was sent to us today, the design changes are costing the borough, if we were to go down that route, upwards of another $100,000. I'm wondering, number one, why they admitted to the discrepancy. We all heard it. I confirmed them to say you made it, there was a discrepancy in the data. I'm wondering why we continue to pay this firm when they made a mistake. He admitted to a mistake, discrepancy in the information that they provided us. So therefore, I'm against just that payment. We have two payments in that bond fund. I am not in favor of paying aquatic facility design in the amount of $87,789.43.
Anyone abstain? Okay, that motion passes. And then number 4,
Right. Well, number 4 is, we need to designate an official publication. But I'm not certain who we would designate, so I think we need a discussion first before. I would recommend Post-Gazette, but that is, something we need to discuss. So I think Ron has done an analysis that he's gonna present to us.
Yes, at the last meeting, a question arose about the price of the Post-Gazette compared to the Tribune Review. It was stated somewhere at the meeting that we were possibly paying more for the Tribune Review than the Post-Gazette. So the task was put upon myself to find it out. So it was very easy to figure out when I called both newspapers. One line of legal advertising in the Tribune Review is $4.45. One line of legal advertising in the Post-Gazette is $7.10. I mean, facts are facts. So
the Tribune Review just no longer has any, we're not a serviced area through the Tribune Review.
and this is where, because it seems like no one wants to argue now that we should go with the Post-Gazette because it's cheaper, because facts are facts. The discussion has now moved on whether the Tribune Review would qualify to advertise.
Can we have some clarification?
I've done a numerous amount of research, and let me start by, passing these out.
Are we arguing over $3 a line? When we just paid $88,000 to a company that had a discrepancy in the data they provided us?
Yes, yes, we are. Yes.
So it's, in
So-
my understanding, the Tribune Review no longer offers service to the Green Tree area, which means even though it's cheaper, we would not be able to use them because it is not the accessible newspaper for our community. I agree that there are many different complications about newspaper publishing and state laws. Agreed, gotta get up with the times, but we have to go with what is.
And Shannon, what you just said, you were told, or you believe, or you were led to believe.
No, I believe that.
Okay,
That is-
you're 100% absolutely incorrect. Okay, 100%, because let me start with.
Yeah,
the
I would love to,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Back in 1867, Pennsylvania passed the Pennsylvania Newspaper Act, also known as Chapter 3, Title 45. I even let the audience see some of this so they can follow along. So basically, legal advertising is regulated by Chapter 3 of Title 45. Real simple as that, okay? Emily, would you mind passing this along? Now, mind you, we can get into all the nuances of, are things different in 2025 than 1867? I would say yes. They did not have the internet back then, but that's beside the point. The point is, we're going specifically for, can the Trib qualify? So anyways, under this newspaper act of Title 45, the second page shows the definition. The requirement is that you advertise in a newspaper, a general circulation. And at the bottom of the page, we have the definition of a newspaper, a general circulation, which I'll read very quickly. A newspaper issued daily or not less than once a week, intended for general distribution and circulation and sold at fixed prices per copy per week, per month, or per annum to subscribers and readers without regard to business, trade, profession, or class. Now, after consulting with the Tribune Review's legal department, they also agreed that in this statement, in this definition, there is not a requirement of a paper being sold in a political subdivision, which means there's no requirement that a store in Green Tree has to sell the Tribune Review. And what backs that up is there's many communities here in Allegheny County and even Westmoreland County throughout the state of Pennsylvania. Let's just say Kilbuck, Osborne Township. There's not even a store in Osborne that, so they could not make a law that's exclusionary where they could, like Osborne could never fulfill the legal advertising requirements if a store had to sell the newspaper. Now, what makes this newspaper viable is they sell subscriptions. And what the legal team did suggest is the library, if we're advertising with them, really should have a subscription, and we should have a copy here at the Borough Building. But this paper and many others, the Pittsburgh Courier, the new Pittsburgh Courier, they all qualify under a newspaper, a general circulation, and at that point, then it is serviceable. So why pick the paper that's more expensive? Why not pick the paper where we're saving the money? And that's basically my presentation.
think to have any further discussion.
Okay, I would make a motion, we designate the Pittsburgh Post Gazette as the official publication. I just don't see any. I don't see what we're splitting hairs over. It has the widest subscription area. It covers all, as for people who are trying to read the local notifications, it's whatever the situation is.
Where are,
I'm just, I'm
I would
not.
love you tonight to find a copy of the Pittsburgh Post Gazette.
Okay, as I'm still talking, I just think you can get it online like everything else. I just think, my opinion, I would just say we designate it, because that's what we had before. There's plenty of really good people who work for the paper, there's loads of people who work there, so they deserve to have their jobs too.
Mr. Totori, you and I have found common ground.
I'm with.
I
It's an amazing night.
You can check in.
I could say from a legal standpoint that I would be most comfortable if Borough went with the Pittsburgh Post Gazette as it is the most widely accessible. There is case law out there talking about what number of subscriptions is required to constitute a newspaper of general circulation, although there's not much case law out there. In 2010, the Commonwealth Court said a municipality was okay if their newspaper had a subscription rate of 6.8%. There's another case that's older from, I believe, the 70s or 80s that said in a municipality of roughly 1,000 residents, a newspaper that only had 3 subscribers still met the definition of Title 45. So I think ultimately, you know, if you wanted to pursue other options legally, it's permissible. With that being said, I think best practice is to go with the one that's going to provide notice to the most amount of residents.
I think we have a motion in a second, right?
Yeah.
Correct. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, no, I just wanted to be clear, we were voting on Post Gazette.
Do you need to do it? We just do it right. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Thanks.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I would vote no.
I vote no. And anyone abstain? Jen and Ron voted no. That motion carries. Thank you.
I would just like to see, if we had such a, Mr. Panza, more research on how we can get more than 140 citizen accounts on our GoGo. Because I imagine there are more residents that are getting information on their cell phone than a piece of newspaper. That'd be awesome, right?
David, whether it's a Post Gazette or whatever we publish, I guarantee you less than 1% is getting the notification out of a physical piece of newspaper, and you know, it's all online.
So what I'm hearing is that you will advocate to the state to change these laws so they
We
are much
are,
more.
I'm one of the leaders with name on, we're lobbying the legislator
That's
as we
great.
speak to
Yeah,
change.
I
these
can't wait
laws
for the change
because-
because it is.
Because,
very-
well, there's just seems to be less printed newspaper than there was in.
It's hard to access a newspaper, yes.
And the elephant in the room is the state and the laws that are out there, which has been confusing everybody for the last 5 years. So until they do something, we just gotta do what we gotta do, and hopefully there'll be a change that makes sense in this, in doing both.
Thank you. We can move on to infrastructure chair report, Ms. Howard.
So we met on January 20th, and there are a number of, a lot of them have been ongoing, so I'm just gonna go through this. The Arliss Storm Waterfall Outfall Restoration, construction started a few weeks ago, paused due to weather. It is expected to be completed, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, weather permitting. With the 2025 road program, may need to be revised due to damages sustained by the recent bout of cold temperatures. Any revisions will be communicated to this committee before any bids are developed. It is expected that the bid advertisement will be placed in late February, early March, and a contract potentially awarded in April or May. Council meeting. Sidewalk improvements, Green Tree Road. Specs are being finalized with PennDOT and will be placed out to bid in the spring of 2025. Additional grant applications are being submitted for the next phase. Phases 1 and 2 have been completed, so we're on phase 3 right now. Park Edge sanitary line repairs. During the course of a lateral inspection, it was discovered that a lengthy section, it was about 30 feet of sanitary main on Park Edge is in need of maintenance. This is a partial replacement, so in addition to the lining, this work will be completed under the blanket contract by CCSI and Inside Pipe. Work will begin upon the completion of the Arla Storm Sewer project. Trumbull Bridge project, work on this project continues. We don't expect this to even go out to bid until early 2026. Because we are, it's my understanding, we're working.
I have a question about that. We paid, it looks like a different engineering company for preliminary bridge work, engineering work.
They might have been a subcontractor.
Okay, but it says preliminary engineering. I thought, isn't the engineering complete? No.
Technically, we're still finalizing preliminary engineering, and it was in the final engineering.
The Heckler Drive sanitary sewer project is complete. Restoration has been completed. There may be just a few minor additional work that needs to be done in the spring due to temperatures. The fiber optic project property damage, Jake is continuing to work with their communications, insurance representatives on the damage claim. And it sounds like we will get an update in the next executive session. Whiskey Run stream restoration, retention wall construction agreements with the property owners have been executed, and work on the project will begin as weather permits. This work is covered by grant proceeds. I do also want to draw attention to the fact that PennDOT is going to hold a public meeting here for Green Tree residents on Wednesday, March 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. This has to do with the Parkway expansion project. So a representative from PennDOT will be here. There will be additional information regarding this email or this meeting as we receive it from PennDOT. Great.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to public facilities, parks and equipment with Ms. Schwartz.
All right, as a result of the further discussions that have been taking place regarding final specifications for the pool reconstruction, we realize that this will delay any bidding until at least late spring, which would require a later start date for the reconstruction. So it has been the recommendation of our committee that the borough move forward with opening the pool for the 2025 season, at least until the beginning of August. We'll see where the bidding process goes, and if that would be a start date, it may stay a bit longer. If the project were to go out to bid in late spring, we would hope to have contracts awarded by sometime in late June with potential start date of construction in early August. This would also give the borough management adequate time to contact previous employees about returning this summer and time to prepare the facility to be staffed and open in May. We have also received answers from the aquatic engineers to some of the potential changes and improvements that could be made to the current design. And we are recommending that we hold a workshop meeting for discussion purposes of these options and the amenities that would go in the main pool, which have yet to be determined. So I make a motion that Green Tree Borough Council will hold a public workshop meeting on February 17th at 7 p.m. to discuss the alternate revisions of the main pool design and additional amenities placed within the main pool.
Second.
Jake, I'm not necessarily sure it requires a motion.
There's not a motion on the agenda. We also don't need a motion to have that. I can just be.
Also, can we just all agree that we're okay with
On the
that?
17th.
The 17th, three presidents day, 7 p.m.
I'm pretty sure, but I mean, check.
That gives us 2 weeks to get it out and publicized. And then 2 weeks after that, prior to.
To the council meeting, yes.
Well,
And
all
this-
many meetings are publicized, right?
Right, but like, just to make sure that we have a lot of time.
Yeah, and we're doing, it'll be publicized now, advertised everywhere.
February 17th.
Mhm.
Okay. And the start time is,
7 p.m.
okay.
Yes. I think the workshop starting at 7 is a little better, in case they go long, it gives people time.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Can we make sure that the team is held here? I think the last two workshop meetings, there was a swim, there was either a swim event or a swim.
I'll message Kelly and see. Yeah, I mean, ideally, I think that they have, most of what they were discussing has already been addressed as far as amenities. But I will touch base with Kelly for and Mr. Giacomo to see if one of them is available to come that evening. Also, bathroom renovations, mechanical work is completed. Finishing work is underway. We hope that the bathrooms will be reopened within the next few weeks.
What's the delay? I saw that there was a delay.
There's an issue with the tile.
They have to make some corrections to the tile work, so the finishing work has to be. Which is it. I think that's all we have right now. We will be meeting again before the workshop to prepare for that, and if you have anything else, let me know.
One question, I noticed the bid for the bathroom was $21,000. Is this how it worked?
It's not additional, no, it's on them. They didn't do it to the standard that was necessary to correct.
Yeah, so it's still 121.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There might have been a minor change due to some plumbing issues. They discovered that the traps within the bathrooms were completely rotted out, so that all had to be redone.
There was a minor change order for the plumbing. but not
Yeah,
for the
necessity.
Not for the tile.
Thank you.
That's all I have, thank you.
Well, speaking of that bathroom, I noticed today in a memo that, what is the $34,000 charge by the engineering firm for the bathroom?
This bill payrolls.
No, the memo that you sent me.
Oh, just the list. That was probably the cumulative bill for the development of specifications, project oversight and architectural.
They charge us $34,000 for the two restrooms.
I don't remember exactly what the price was, but I'll take your word.
No, it was 34,000. I thought
It's 34,000.
34,000. Okay. That's not, they're not even full baths. They're like partial baths, no showers in them. I mean, no saunas. I'm really shocked at that price. That's all I have to say, but, I just think, I mean, 12,000 to design a whole storm runoff coming down Arla Drive, I feel worth every penny, for $12,000, but $34,000 to, design, did they like there was two sinks in a commode, they just put in two sinks in another commode, wonder how you get $34,000 in design to just
I know
redo.
there was relocation of some of the facilities, so things didn't go back exactly where they were. So.
You see how much it costs to engineer a new swimming pool slice?
Oh, that was reasonable. I thought. No, I thought that was reasonable. $7,000, or $15,000.
I'm taking the messages here, we want the engineers.
What's that?
So I'm taking the messages here.
The message here is that what I've been bringing up is we paying the engineering firms $376,000 in 2024. When are we gonna get serious about really considering hiring a full-time engineer?
But David, in all honesty, the overall price, I have to tell you, by the time we paid our in-house and we still went out of house, I don't think the discrepancy is as bad as I thought, or I thought it would be. Okay, no, honestly, but that's just that one thing. It was just very shocking to me, and
I will say when we did have in-house engineering, we were well over $200,000 in several years. So
Yeah.
Just as a point of comparison, I think this year, the engineering fees are extremely high. I do think that they're high. But not when you take into consideration the projects and the value of the projects that have been. Our road program this year was well over 800,000. $860,000. The Hackberry Drive project is an extremely complicated project that contributed to a big chunk of those fees. The Army Drive project, those are all projects that would not be repeated on a regular basis. So not that we won't have projects every year, but I think this year we did a lot of work, we spent a lot of money. So.
But that goes more to my point, Judy, like you just said, the Arla Drive project, very complicated. The other project, very complicated for $12,000. Well worth it, but 34,000 for a rescue.
I agree.
For design, or I guess because we spent the 34,000, I guess that's why there was never any setbacks or unknowns or anything, and that's why this is going so efficient, right? But, oh well, I
So I think what you're saying is there should be some checks and balances in place to make sure that we're getting what we're paying for, not overpaying for engineering or other services.
well, yeah, exactly. I would agree with that statement 100%, David. Mr. Ray, sorry. Oh, that's my thought.
Any other discussion? Ms. Schwartz, was that the end of your report?
That was the end of my report.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have public safety and equipment with Mr. Ray.
Yeah, so our Green Tree Volunteer Fire Company is the month of January. And 1 vehicle fire, 10 motor vehicle accidents, 3 water conditions, 1 wires down, 1 odor investigation, 11 fire alarms, both residential and commercial, 1 possible structure fire, and 4 structure fires. One of those structure fires was a residential fire that the family realized significant loss, and we keep them in our prayers, and they're doing well. That was something to see, and we appreciate the volunteer fire company responding quickly to that house fire. Public Safety Committee met before tonight's meeting to discuss hiring a full-time police chief. We had a call with PA Chiefs Association to discuss their approach for assisting the borough in hiring a police chief. The committee reached full consensus. The mayor was also in attendance to utilize PA chiefs that help us hire a new police chief. The cost of that is $6,500 plus an optional static video interview where the candidates respond to questions. They record their responses, and we receive that. So it's $6,500 plus the optional $750 static interview. We were impressed with their process. It's a very collaborative process where the committee and council has complete transparency into the process. We see all the candidates. We provide input on who is selected all throughout the different phases of the hire. They estimate about 75 days from start to finish. The next step is for them to provide us with a formal agreement, and we'll move forward.
Mr. Ray, for our community, can you explain what PA Chiefs Association is?
Sure, yeah, PA Chiefs Association is a organization led by former police chiefs. Their mission is to help municipalities hire police chiefs. So they have behavioral-based interviews, skills-based interviews. They have a group of former police chiefs that sit on the interview panels, so they bring expertise and technical advisement into the hiring process. The project manager that we'll be working with is Jerry Simpson. He's the individual that helped the borough with the Department of Community Economic Development peer review back in 2022. So he has familiarity with our police department, and so that's helpful that he has those insights as we move to hire a chief.
Great, thank you.
Just a comment, on the Public Safety Committee, it's Ron Panza and Deborah Deming also, they were in attendance at that public safety meeting, as was I, as David Ray pointed out. It was a very interactive, everyone had questions, several members, there were 2 members of Pennsylvania Chiefs Association, so I think it's a good process. As Mr. Ray indicated, it's a collaborative process. So even though I do not have a vote, I would recommend going with this process also and start it as soon as possible. They did point out that 30 days, an important part is the advertisement. They have 5,500 persons on their email list. They have other sources of advertising, and they would encourage us to also advertise on any sources that we have. But they said for at least 30 days to advertise, is just to get the word out there. So if we could start the process sooner rather than later, it would be great. Thank you.
And this is the first time that the borough is using services. That's the end of my report.
Recreation and community events, Mr. Penza.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a few items. Let's see, we have the snowman contest currently still going on. Oh, the big thing, the Valentine's Day dance this Saturday. Hope all the council can attend. And Winter Rec is going on currently in the gym as we speak. And now that it's February, of course, it's time to start talking about Oktoberfest celebrations. As I'm the liaison for Oktoberfest. We are having Oktoberfest September, is it Saturday the 14th, I believe? It's either the 13th or the 14th. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday, September 14th.
It would be Saturday, September 13th.
13th. Okay, well, yeah, but definitely might show up on the right day, so. So that's the Oktoberfest. We'll be having meetings soon, and once again, anyone who really wants to get involved in the community and participate, we would love for you to either join the rec committee or volunteer on the Oktoberfest committee. That is the end of my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the mayor's report. Thank you for being patient, Mr. Mayor Shane.
I was so patient. Okay, thank you. A couple things here. The Fireman's Banquet is on Saturday, February 15th. I believe that all council members were invited. I also was invited. I'll be swearing in the new officers there. So it's always a nice event. And I also thank the firemen for all the volunteer work they do, all the training they go through. And that'd be a nice event this coming Saturday. Second, we now have 9 members on the police department with the 2 new hires. They're working real well. They're fitting in. I've only received good reports. Overtime is way down, so that's good. And as indicated earlier in the meeting, we'll be searching for a police chief in the very near future. So overtime is down. Next thing on my report is mayor's office hours. They're not till Saturday, March 15th, but that will be advertised in the newsletter that's coming out. Saturday, March 15th, I'll bring it up again at the early March meeting. Next thing would be Arla Road was repaved. Julian, Miss Miller and I received one concern about that. And Ms. Miller responded to the citizen that had concern about some of the quality. So we're going to be checking into the Arlo Road project. Next, 358 Mansfield Avenue. I know that we did apply for a grant of $28,000, I believe, to tear down that property. So we're waiting on to see the outcome of the grant, is my understanding.
We received the grant.
Okay, so good. So hopefully we'll be moving full steam ahead. We have to jump through a lot of legal hoops. You have to condemn property, but we've done that in the past on another house in the borough recently. So we should have the process pretty much in line. Next on my report would be there was a concern about the Arla Drive. speeding and blowing the stop sign on Arthur Drive. School Street, I'm sorry, School Street. Okay, School Street, right, School Street. I'm visualizing it correctly, but I'm not saying it right. On School Street. So, Acting Chief Rannigan, he suggested a speed study survey. We have the equipment to monitor and report the traffic patterns. So could I make a request, that we implement that? I'm not quite sure. The police put it out there, right? Does anyone have any objections to doing a speed study survey on School Street? And we're supposed to do that as,
Absolutely, get that.
we'll do that as soon as possible.
Mayor, speaking of School Street, have we, done anything about the resident that's worried about her street subsiding at 1199 School Street?
I'm not aware of that.
Oh, okay, and, okay.
What's the address?
1199 School Street, and she also said that the street was just paved in 2024,
Yes, it was.
and now she sees significant subsidence. Oh, okay. I told her send an email out to everyone, so you didn't get any emails.
Yeah, she just sends it to me. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I put it back, okay.
Okay, next, I think the city of Pittsburgh, they're still going through that zoning issue. I think they had a long hearing, the planning commission, within a week or two, so hopefully we're still, even though we don't have a direct interest on them, rezoning property near us, we're gonna keep apprised of that, so hopefully next meeting we can have an update on the status of where that stands in Pittsburgh. Just one or two other things. I did come across an advertisement. They're selling a large piece of property, attempting to sell. Three Rivers Commercial Advertisers is pleased to present for sale the largest remaining development site in Green Tree with 5 to 15 acres available. That's on Millstown Road, down there by Foster. So they are asking, I mean, at least in this brochure that I got, sell price $1.7 million. They're saying 5 commercial acres can be made available. So I'll pass this on. I just came across it. Yes, there's a wooded piece of property. So I don't know what's going to come of that, whether there be any new development in Green Tree, but that's probably the last remaining big piece of property that we have. In regard to workshop sessions, last year we decided, I think the council decided every other month. So I'm just curious, are we going to continue that every other month? I know in February we will be having a workshop session, February 17th, but March, April. But that would take us to April, whatever every other month is. Could we at some point schedule those now so people would know?
I would like us to schedule them when we're needed. We had a few last year that were canceled because there was nothing on the agenda. It is really, I would like to have our chairs who chair things tell us when they need to have those meetings or what months they would have those meetings. Happy to put that advertisement out as soon as possible, but it is really up to our chairs to tell us when we need to be. Workshops.
Two things here. I have a different recollection. I don't recall them being canceled for lack of things to discuss. And I also recall, Ms. Barrett, that it was your voice when the majority of council, your opinion was the same when the majority of the council decided to have them every other month. So I think we should have a discussion. I think there's enough going on in this borough with Trumbull Drive, swimming pool. There's plenty of issues that we can't come up with meaningful, viable issues to discuss. Shame on us at these meetings. So I would recommend it. We should have all council's input like we did last time when we voted to have them every other month. And then lastly, in regard to workshop meetings, the mayors have the right to attend the workshop meetings. So not that I'm going to, but I would request that I be advised the workshop meetings. I would request the heads to let me know the workshop meeting. And if I have the opportunity of the particular subject interest me, I would show up, would I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we would do that.
Right, thank you, and then, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Do we have to vote on having workshop meetings, or can we just have discussion? That we have workshop.
You can just have a discussion. Anytime you would want to have a workshop meeting, anyone can ask for one and we can decide when we're gonna have it.
We put it on the calendar, we decide not to have it. Tell calendars, of course,
I would want to hear everyone's opinion on that.
Could we put that maybe on the agenda for the March meeting so we can all look at what we have coming down the pike and have a well-informed discussion by everyone on council at that time? I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I would like to see if we're gonna have them. It was just, I mean, I called for more of them than anyone else last year, and we're continuing this year. But I think that I would like to know what is going, like what committee is going to be doing workshops when. If we're going to schedule it, then we want to hold everyone accountable that every committee does a workshop.
Why does it have to be a committee-based workshop? Why can't we just have a general workshop? Like the mayor said, there's so many topics that we need to discuss that if we have a discussion before the voting meeting, gives us more time. These meetings won't go longer and longer. I think last year demonstrated that every workshop meeting that we had, I attended, was valuable. We got community input, we had discussion. It's helpful just in terms of our personal schedule, so that if we just put it on there every other month, we know that it's there. If we have nothing to talk about, we can always cancel.
Why don't we send this to a committee to get their go through all this and get their
That
recommendations?
would belong
then-
to the communication.
I would think communications would belong to
It's-
communications,
they-
yeah.
Dave's
We
on
could, we could all discuss this and bring it to March's meeting, we think.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd like the committee's recommendations on all this, and then we can discuss from there.
I love that idea.
Yeah, we can talk about that at our next committee meeting and then.
So when's our next committee meeting?
That was it, that was additional information.
Mayor, anything else from the report?
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to the president's report. I just have a few things to note, before we move on to the appointments of the library board. One thing I wanted to let everyone know, I mentioned it in a few meetings back, that, Pittsburgh Rapid Transit is beginning, currently right now, they have an open survey out about their, transportation throughout the entire county. That is closing on the 15th. And it does impact Green Tree. It impacts our bus lines, the bus times, and all of our different areas surrounding. It is worthwhile going and reading that, and it is open for public comment through the 15th, but after that, it will close. And it's been open for a number of months now. So if you know of anyone, who would be at all impacted, even if you don't take public transit, I would encourage you to reach out and read that and see what impact it would have in our community. Additionally, we did move to a new adjusted agenda this month. We will take it to a resolution for next month. And we did rearrange some of our committees. So because we have new people on the Borough Council, and I created a newer committee. So if we could please go around and say who is on your committee so that everyone is clear about that. So the community engagement and communication, that is our newest committee. It is held by Ms. Jackie. So could you tell us who's on your committee, or if you could just say I'm on it?
Yes, I'm the chair, and Mr. Ray and Ms. Schwartz.
Finance and Borough Administration is led by Mr. Tintori. Mr. Tintori, who joins you on your committee?
Emily, and I can't remember. She was so inconspicuous that I forgot you were on it.
And then that takes us to infrastructure led by Ms. House.
Yeah, so I have Ms. Debbie and. No, yeah.
It's all on the website.
Yeah, it is brand new. They just got. Well, they got them within 24 hours of the last meeting.
Back to back, so everybody was on.
Not how it's.
Yeah. And public safety, or I'm sorry, I did not mean to miss you, Ms. Schwartz, public facilities, parks and equipment.
My committee is Mr. Tintori and Mr. Pence.
Public safety and equipment, Mr. Ray. And recreation and community events.
Thank you. I have Art and Jen are on my committee, which our committee does have to meet under Shannon's, proclamation of all the committee's meetings, so.
By proclamation, he means an ask that everyone meet this last month, really should be meeting monthly. And then be prepared to give a, update every month at these meetings. Okay, thank you. And then I will continue my role as, the liaison to Green Tree, Library. That was a role held by, before I came onto council, held by, the previous president. And I will continue to serve in that role. I took it on when I came on and I'll continue to serve. So we did, the library board meets once a month on the third Thursday of the month. The library board had two, open, seats for this year, for the next term. And they had a number of people apply to be on the library board. So the library board, went through a process where the library president met with the incoming candidates, talked about what being on the library board is like. They invited all of the candidates to come to, the public meeting. Anyone can go to the meetings, but they invited them to come to, see how those meetings are run, ask questions about what it means to be on the committee, what kind of things that the library board does. And then they also, asked some questions of the library board and their commitment to the library and, what they want to, why they want to be on the library. So that whole process took about a month, maybe a little longer to get everything accomplished. And through that time, they had some people who, dropped out and said, you know what, I'm actually not interested in this anymore. I've got a lot on my plate. And they still had, additional people. I want to be very clear that every person who, went and applied for this, is amazing for coming out and wanting to be, a part of the library, to be a part of the volunteer work that makes our borough run. But the library board did, put in the, recommendations for two, people that I will read in a moment. And then they also, wanted to reappoint, Ms. Swindle as their library board president. Ms. Swindle has been on the library board for a number of years. She actually serves as the president, for the, Western Pennsylvania Law Library Association as well. And they are very excited to see her, do another term for the president. So I move that we reappoint Victoria Swindle to the library board for terms to expire on January 31st, 2027, as recommended by the library board's letter dated January 22nd, 2025.
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any sustained? All right, Ms. Swindle is the library board president. I move that we appoint Rebecca Chambers to the library board for terms to expire on January 31st, 2027, as recommended by the library board's letter dated January 22nd, 2025. Any discussion? Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any sustained? Abstained. Okay, that passes too. And then I move that we appoint Caitlin Kadeem to the library board for terms to expire on January 31st, 2027, as recommended by the library board's letter dated January 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Any other further discussion? So all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained?
Sorry, just point of clarification. I
Yeah.
think when you said Victoria's window, you said we reappointed her as president.
Oh, I'm sorry, library board term, yes, I'm sorry, she will continue to be their president. If we reappoint her.
They vote on that.
Yeah, they vote on it. My world coincides with Miss Wendell's a lot, so I get things confused. Okay, any other?
Madam
Yes.
Chairman, are you going to have the resolution, made? Or, I mean, is that?
For
Yeah.
that would go, Ms. Miller will make it, but it will be on my part of the agenda.
I do have to say, the changes that you suggested, I think are fantastic, and I hope it maintains this type of, agenda where we are engaging in discussion prior to voting, and I just really like this
Thank you.
agenda. Thank you.
Where, so the mayor is going to go for the business.
That if we go to what we did, prior, yes, but I need to read all of that, and then we'll put something out and everyone can see it before. I'll talk to the mayor too. Okay, Ms. Miller, that is the end of my report, Ms. Miller.
Yes, so I just would like to ask the patience of our residents. Patience of our residents, the cold weather has definitely been very adversely affecting many of our roads, some of which are the newly paved roads, which we did get complained about. So we've already inspected many of them, and have a meeting, this week, with our engineers to discuss how we will address those roads that have been affected for the 2025 road program, because we've already discovered one that is without a doubt needs to be added to the road program. So, you know, what was published with the budget will likely change just so that we can accommodate these roads that are in, you know, have just sustained damage like we have not seen in years. So we appreciate your patience. I know a lot of residents have used the website report a concern application to submit roads that they're concerned about. We received those and we're kind of keeping a log of those and taking all our time. So we appreciate resident input in that way. So the pool is opening this summer. I expected some cheering from that crowd. So I actually anticipated this situation and have been speaking with pool management for a couple of months now. Actually have a meeting scheduled with them for tomorrow afternoon. And you know, we're gonna crank up the machine and get it going. It just we appreciate everybody's prayerful support that we don't have any mechanical failures beyond what we already have. And for Public Works superintendent is already kind of ahead of it and has planned out the repairs that are required to get things done. One of which is the heater. Unless you guys could do a summer.
I'd say, see what the price is.
$6,200.
Get it fixed.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll be up and running. So if you have any friends or family, neighbors, whose kids work at the pool, we're gonna get the word out. We're gonna get a letter out to all of last year's employees just to let them know, because I think they left last year. Obviously, we felt pretty confident we could get this taken care of this summer. And, you know, also obviously taking time to make the right decisions and, you know, if we could keep it open ideally through that first weekend in August, that would be ideal. That would give us, you know, 2 very full months of swimming to enjoy. So that's about the pool. And then one thing I'll just say, I mean, you can't help but to see in the headlines about the current administration, the funding freeze. And we will be monitoring that. Currently, we do have some federal funding that we are slated to receive, namely over $6 million for the Trumbull Bridge. And that would be very concerning to lose that money. But we do have the money to pay for the bridge. We were just hoping that we will in fact receive the bridge federal funding so that then we can reallocate the bond money to the pool. Certainly, it's a concern, but I can assure you that as, our staff, we're keeping an eye on things, we're keeping an eye on, we've already sent out some emails to try to, get a requested advance notice on anything that might affect us. But, right now, we have money for everything that we're committed to. That's the good news. The full specification process, that's within our budget. The building, the whole certainly is something that we'll have to have another conversation about should this federal funds not.
We say that we have funding in place to pay for those. We do not have the federal funding to pay for the TIP program. You said that we have to submit invoices that it's paid for. It's not like we have $6 million in the bank.
Yes, we do.
You,
The bond issue.
but we reallocated that to the pool in July. And I said, maybe we should hit the pause button because you never know what can happen. Here we are.
Dave, we can reallocate it back to the bridge at any time.
And then how are we gonna pay for the pool?
We would have to borrow money.
Right, we're gonna have to raise taxes just like everybody doesn't want to do. I said that in July. I said, instead of putting it back towards the pool, why don't we just wait till we have a little more clarity on how much this bridge is going to cost? We haven't put the bridge out to bid yet.
But the bridge has to be done.
I know, and we have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for a pool,
Exactly,
okay?
right.
Maybe we shouldn't bid on a pool yet until we have some clarity on how much this bridge costs.
So we have some good estimates on the bridge.
There's how
We
old are
have-
those estimates? 3 years.
A year, no, I think they're probably about maybe a year and a half to 2 years old. They put it this way. So
Increase by
last
20%.
summer, Dave, we received those pool numbers. That was last summer, last July. Are you talking about the bridge?
I'm talking about both the bridge, I'm talking about the bridge.
They have not increased it,
Who has,
the engineers.
how's that possible? They made an estimate, a construction estimate 3 years ago. It hasn't changed.
I've been in communications with them quarterly, and the number is not yet.
That is impossible.
No, David, it's not, because as someone who bids, makes construction
Okay,
bids,
okay,
3 years ago,
Okay.
that was when
okay.
the prices were the highest. They were,
I need time.
because of COVID, everything was, that was the worst. So, yes, 3 years ago or today to make the same bid.
You can make the same bid.
3 years ago or today. Hey, my wife just bought a bunch of avocados yesterday, thinking tariffs were gonna come in, and now they come here like cancer. So I think everything will wind up being.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Everything.
So I
Mr.
did,
Kansas said it. Everything's gonna be
I
okay.
didn't put this up to stir up an argument. I just wanted you to know, this community, that we are keeping an eye on it, and.
It's not meant to be an argument, it's meant to be, we should be doing a risk assessment. And not putting our eggs in one basket. If the federal funding goes away, that TIP funding, that infrastructure
Then the
bill,
pool might have to be delayed.
then we
Let's be
can't,
realistic.
right?
That may not
That's what I
happen.
said in July.
It may, we don't
So
wanna
why-
say definitely until we
Why
know.
commit to a pool when this bridge comes in 2026, right? We're gonna be building a pool and a bridge at the same time. I don't believe you, Mr. Panza, that construction costs haven't increased. We're paying $30,000 for engineering.
You said specifically 3 years ago. Now, if you would have said 4.5 years ago, if you would have said February of 2020, I'm gonna buy, say, a piece of decking board.
If
A
I,
piece of decking board in February 2020 was $6.10.
Yeah.
Then a year later, when we got the bids 3 years ago, that board went up to $14. Well, now it's back, it's actually back down. So yes,
government
The middle of
government
COVID.
pricing doesn't increase, right?
I'm just saying the middle of COVID.
Okay,
So,
we weren't in the middle of COVID.
Well, I mean, yes, it
We're
does
in
sound,
the COVID and we got that.
what you just said does sound strange, but the
It
fact.
does sound strange, so you admit that it sounds strange
Yes,
that.
yes.
the
yes,
engineers say-
Yes, I know, I will.
Right.
I will
I
just
will
tell
give you,
you,
it sounds
at
strange,
this
but
point in time, the engineers have not forecasted an increase.
I'd like to
That
see
has
that,
been
right?
reviewed.
I mean, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, they're not the contractor. They're the
I
engineer.
understand, this is not even going to go out to bid until 2026 and be go into construction in 2027. So we will not, obviously,
And what happens if the
Enter.
funding goes away? That's my.
we have $6.5 million in bond issue that are dedicated for this. And even though it was reallocated, David, it can be reallocated with emotion. And then we make the decision where we'd like to fund, how and when we want to fund the pool.
We
So-
have a $7 million bridge and a $4 million pool. Okay, if the bridge, if that money goes away,
Yes.
then you said it a minute ago, we have to go out and borrow the money.
We would have to borrow, we would borrow money for the pool.
Right,
So,
borrow more money. How are we
Here's
gonna pay
my-
for that?
We don't have to do the pool. That's the thing. We
But-
have to do the bridge.
so
We do
we're-
not have to do. the
I
pool.
know, that's what I said in July, we don't have.
But
So-
this is all
Wait.
hypothetical.
So
Yes,
yes, but
at
in
this
July,
point-
we didn't know,
Based
we
on
know.
Chris last week.
both of you. And I would like to say that we are talking about hypotheticals. Ms. Schwartz was also trying to say something and kept getting talked over. Ms. Schwartz, can you please finish your sentence?
Dave, I am with you in the concern for what the risk is right now. We are at the mercy of whatever is being done way above where we are all sitting. We know this. We don't have control over that with this moment. We will hopefully, within the next few months, have a much better understanding of where things sit. We've already committed to designing this pool. We do not have to go out to bid in the spring if we are finding out that this is not working. We can keep those designs. The designs don't change. The construction is a different matter. And yes, hopefully the TIP program, because of what it is, and it is a longstanding program, would still go forward because it's a build out that's already almost fully, in engineering process. But we don't know that. We don't know that. Again, this is a hypothetical. We can't make decisions and forecast the future. What we can do is take the steps and keep an eye on things. And if we get an indication that that money is not going to be there, then we're gonna have to have a serious discussion about what happens with the pool project in general and what happens with the big project. But we're putting the cart before the horse right now. We should definitely be keeping this in our minds. I agree with you 100%.
Literally last week, we're not talking about hypotheticals. Literally last week, the federal government threatened to freeze funding. We're not talking about hypotheticals. The letter was sent. How
And
is
there's
that
a
a
lawsuit
hypothetical?
to tell them that they can't do that. So we don't know what's going to
We
happen.
don't know. What I'm asking for is that we assess risk and we make decisions based on that risk assessment.
And that's
And
why
it's
we're
not-
not bidding it out in a month, are we? No.
Yeah,
You were ready to.
if we were, David, on that, I would say that if we were at the point where we were ready to execute a contract to construct it, I would say,
Thank you.
but
That's
we are not there. We are 3 to 4 months away from it.
all I'm asking is that we do a risk assessment to give us information and data, so that when that decision comes,
Yeah.
that we
Yes.
make the right decision.
So I've
That's all I
requested,
can say.
and I
No
have
one's
requested
disagreeing with
information.
that at all.
I want information, I want updated information from the engineers on how much this bridge is gonna cost. I don't recall the last time we had an estimate. That is data that we have to take into this risk assessment. And what are our priorities? What are we obligated to do? What funding do we have? What's the risk associated with losing that funding? That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying,
I think that Colin has nobody can answer those questions right now. I don't think
there are
anybody
people that
knows.
can, nobody knows exactly yes or no, but people have enough knowledge to give us a risk assessment.
And I
If there's some
requested that
funding,
last week
Okay,
and have not gotten an answer yet. She told me she does not have an answer for me, but she will let me know if she hears anything.
I'm not saying like, oh, is this funding going where or not? I wouldn't expect anybody to have that answer. But this type of funding is at risk. I know in my own work, certain funding that is at risk, and we're making decisions. We're not gonna go down this program because that funding is at high risk of being lost. There's funding that has been granted to us by Congress, and an act of Congress has to happen for us to lose that funding. Low risk. That's what I'm talking about. Of all this funding that we have, what we're going to high risk. What decisions do we have to make based on that risk assessment? I think it's a pretty reasonable ask. It's not the hypotheticals either.
I have another question. The money that's in a bond. If we were, and because we're part of this conversation is an hypothetical. If something would occur that had nothing to do with the bridge or the pool, right? Because those are the two things right now that we have put money away for. If something would happen that would put our borough at risk or some emergency type situation, that money, would we be able to reallocate it for something else?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's, I believe, and I'd have to go back, because that's a very technical legal document, but I think it can go towards capital projects, not operating. You know, you can't use it for operating expenses. You can use it for capital projects.
Right, so we wouldn't be able to pay someone's salary with it, but we would be able to use it.
You can't use it to get by.
So Judy, you will keep us up to date with any information you get regarding the funds that we.
We're not just sitting up here thinking it's not gonna affect us. We'll be careful to make sure we stay in touch with. Like I said, I've already sent out emails regarding some of the federal funding that I know that we're applying for
That has been approved.
to try to get ahead. And fortunately, it is infrastructure related funding, which I would like to think. I said that at the bottom of the list of things that would get cut. I keep saying that nonprofits are at the top of the list for getting cut. You know, unfortunate, but I'd like to think that a bridge that we're required to rebuild would be, you know, kind of at the bottom of the list that funded. So.
But I hope we keep my fingers crossed. I want the data.
Any other questions or anything else for us, Ms. Miller?
Yeah, I do. So peer reviews, those were back in 2022. I have asked countless times where we are with that. The last time I asked for, somebody said you were gonna wait until we have a full council. We have a full council. So I would hope that we have a plan on how to dive into those review studies within the next couple of weeks. Or just tell me that, oh, we did abandon them?
I
When did we
thought,
talk about that?
I just thought maybe it was just that we were waiting for
No, you said you were waiting for it.
to do it.
But if you don't want to do it, just,
It doesn't, but you know, I mean, some of the things that I probably would have done, we've already done.
we did, I know, it was always in your updates that peer reviews are under consideration. There's never any direct response to the reviews.
We can certainly, next finance and registration, we can really talk about it.
And then the other thing that I asked is just in terms of receiving information. Typically we receive the agenda and supporting information either on Friday or Monday afternoon or Monday during the day. I would ask, is it possible to extend that out a couple of days, like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, or even a week before the meeting, so we have time?
We can, if we could affect what business gets taken care of.
I guess the agenda could be the agenda, but all the supporting, like your updates and everything else. that
I
comes with
typically
it.
send my updates out on Friday. I can send them out earlier.
It'd be great if we had a little more time.
It's not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, at this time, I would like to make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Right.
Motion is accepted. This meeting is adjourned at 8:48 PM.